Hello everyone, I am Victor. Have you ever heard the story of the boy Danny and his bed, which was hiding many secrets? Didn't you hear? Well, watch this video to find out, and let's begin. In 1998, Savannah Morning News reporter Jane Fishman wrote a series of articles about paranormal phenomena occurring at the Cobb home in Georgia. These phenomena began to occur after Mr. Cobb purchased an antique bed dating back to the late 1800s from an auction and gave it to his 14-year-old son, Jason, as a Christmas present. Things were normal at first. The boy loved his bed very much, but after 3 nights had passed, Jason began complaining to his parents that he felt something resting with his elbows on his pillow, watching him while he slept, hearing the sound of someone breathing near him, and feeling cold air below his neck, which made him feel very tired. Jason's parents refused to believe it, and believed that their teenage son was dreaming and nothing more, and that they were nothing but nightmares and delusions. The next night, the picture of Jason's deceased grandparents flipped on its own, so he adjusted it, but in the morning he was surprised that the picture had flipped again. Later that morning, after leaving his room for breakfast, he returned and found the picture in the middle of his bed surrounded by a group of his toys, which had been moved and placed on top of his bed in a circle. Jason ran out of his bedroom, running and screaming in fear to his parents, who were in the kitchen. They accompanied him to his room again in disbelief, but they were surprised that the boy's room had already been tampered with and his things had been moved from their place. At this moment, they realized that something suspicious was happening. On the same day, a few hours later, they saw for themselves the furniture in the house moving on its own. Cobb decided to try contacting the ghost himself to see if he could help and stop the ghostly activity. So he stood in the middle of the room and called out, "I am addressing the spirit that lives in this house. Tell me, who are you? And how old are you?" Cobb waited in the room for a few hours, but did not receive a response. So he decided to leave and return later to make another attempt. But he left some papers and a pen on the bed before leaving. When he returned to the room a few minutes later, he found one of the papers written on it, Danny, 7. So he concluded that the ghost was a boy named Danny who was 7 years old. Cope was enamored with this young soul and spent the next few weeks communicating with him through pen and paper. At this time, he discovered that the bed belonged to Danny's deceased mother, and that she was suffering from a severe illness and died on this bed. And Danny did not like for someone else to sleep in his mother's bed. After a few weeks, Jason wanted to try sleeping in his bed again, so he went up to his room and lay on the bed for a few minutes, waiting for something to happen, but nothing strange happened at all. He decided to get up, but suddenly, without any expectation, a large mural of a deer's head that was hanging near the bed flew and almost hit Jason's head. Had he barely avoided it, and quickly rushed out of the room. After that, things got even stranger. Someone was writing strange notes on papers, moving the furniture from its place, turning the lights on and off, opening the kitchen cupboard and throwing all its contents out. After a short time, Cobb brought a large car in which he took the antique bed and sold it so that Danny could leave with the bed without a trace. But the matter did not end there, as the new owner of the bed also experienced strange activity. The new owner was David Brogan, a dealer and collector of antiques and old furniture. He and his wife learned about the bed from an article by Fishman in the Savannah News newspaper, and his wife insisted that they buy the haunted bed after reading about it. Strange things began to rear their heads in the antique shop owned by the couple after the arrival of the bed. The shop's alarm system began to go off on its own 2 to 3 times a day. Also, The store's customers began to feel very tired and dissatisfied whenever they came to it. So Brajan and his wife decided to sell the bed and get rid of it. It passed into the possession of Pam Whitten, who also knew about the haunted bed, and her teenage daughter, Heidi Whitten, urged her mother to buy it for her. Whenever Pam entered the room, she felt a strange feeling and an unexplained coldness. So they summoned the spiritual doctor, Connie Branham, to communicate with Danny. She said that Danny is in the form of energy that has no physical existence, and spirits have the ability to relate to any material thing, such as a car, a ring, or anything that had a material or emotional meaning to them when they were alive. As for the bed, it belonged to his family, and when he died, his soul was connected to the bed. From her point of view, the bed must be in a safe place without moving from place to place so that the soul is not disturbed. So Pam decided not to sell the bed and keep it with her so that Danny's spirit would not be disturbed. So she placed it in the garage of her house, away from her and her daughter, so that no one would see it or sleep on it, and there was no news of the haunted bed to this day. It is worth noting that the story of the bed was shown in a television program about paranormal phenomena called Real Scary Stories TV show. It aired with 3 other stories on ABC Family and Fox Family. Al-Cobb also wrote a whole book about it, which was published on October 1, 2000.